Alright guys, on the bench, we have my last Cobra 29 night watch. I had about, 3 or 4 of these that have been taken out of trucks, mostly from a fleet that's been upgrading their radios. And they basically just said, hey, you know what, we don't really have a use for them, you take them. So, and if you've been watching my videos as of lately, I've been trying to give new life to some of these, night watches. In fact, this giveaway radio right there, it was a night watch that was converted over into something, a lot cooler, a lot more desirable. So, but yeah, if you've been watching my videos, I've been trying to basically come up with ways to get rid of this whole circuitry here of night watch, with the night watch. This is basically the module, the driver module that controls the night watch when it is working. And that is obviously controlled with the dimmer potentiometer, which I just took out. So I'm you guys wanted to see more hands-on videos, so this is what I'm doing lately. So I went from, when you go put an echo board in this spot here, I went from just leaving the potentiometer, zip-tied inside, to removing the potentiometer, and now I'm trying to come up with a way to completely do away with the driver module, because these things can be pretty noisy. As far as what I mean by noisy is just stray RF. You can actually hear these things buzzing sometimes when they start to go bad, or when they're actually working. You can kind of hear a low hum, a low buzz. And that's just entering into the radio. So I've been kind of fooling around with these circuits. This is mostly all lighting stuff between driving the front night watch, as well as dimming the meter light, the RX TX light, and the channel display. So this basically controls all of that. And you have a voltage regulator. So this is normally mounted. I just don't want to, okay, everything's off. So this is normally mounted. The driver is normally mounted with those 2 holes. So it's just a nut, 2 nuts and 2 bolts, 2 screws. And then the voltage regulator, the transistor, is mounted right there. It does get hot, so that's why it's mounted, basically using the case here as a heat sink. Yeah, and I already told you I just unbolted the pot, the dimmer pot. So, but that's normally where that bolts to. So I just basically unscrewed the front bezel here and moved everything to this side. It's just to make things easier. So when we go clipping some of these wires, you can kind of follow along and see what each wire does. It's just easier that way. So, like I said, this controls that's the driver for basically all the lighting and the dimming on the radio. So, why don't we go ahead and turn on the radio, and we can see exactly, what dims and what, as far as the lighting goes, what's what. So let's turn this radio on. Okay, so we see we have the meter light that's on. We have the channel display that's on. We have the RX TX light that's on. And then normally, this plug, sorry, the lighting's a little weird in here, but this plug here would normally plug into this right here, which powers the front. So that's where that would normally go. So this bracket here, if you have one at home, you can see. This bracket here, that screw hole actually mounts to the SWR meter. screw, which is right, which is right there. So you can just unscrew this and then put the bracket back on, and that's basically it for the SWR meter and the the RF meter. So now let's see what each one does. I kind of already went through this and I just soldered the wires back on because I originally wasn't going to do a video, but then I realized, this will be a pretty cool video for people who probably have a night watch at home and want to just eliminate this whole mess. So why don't we go ahead and do that. Yeah, we'll see what each wire does. So let me get you set up on a little tripod here so I can have two hands free. And we'll start going through some of these circuits and then how to actually power these circuits back up, because we are going to lose basically all lighting on this radio. Alright, let me get you set up on the tripod. Alright, hopefully you guys can kind of see everything here. So be careful. Obviously when you're doing this, don't do it with the radio on. I'm doing it with the radio on to kind of demonstrate what each wire does. But if you're doing this at home, turn the radio off, or leave it on. Whatever you want to do, it's your radio, but I'm suggesting you guys to turn it off. Just a warning. But alright, green wire does the RX-TX light. The red wire is the feed, so that's the 13.8 volt feed to the actual unit. Black wire is a part of the dimming circuit. Brown wire, or the tan wire, goes to the dimmer potentiometer. That's normally in there. Orange wire feeds or dims the meter light. And what else do we have left here? And then we have the voltage regulator. Careful, this gets hot. Yeah, so we have the feed, and then we have, I believe this is 5 volt regulator. But, yeah, that's basically what everything does. So, and then I'll show you how to get, once we eliminate this module here, this driver module, I'll show you what to do as far as getting all of our lighting back. So you can see that the dimmer, the potentiometer here, it still dims everything. So the channel display, the meter light, and the RX-TX light. So this adjusts voltage to all the circuits, and obviously the full brightness would be the full 13.8 volts. So technically, this is considered a 12 volt, DC 12 volts. But as we all know, when you're in a vehicle or in a car, or maybe not all of us know, but your alternator is going to be charging normally at 13.8 volts, even though your battery is 12 volts. That's how you keep your battery charged. So it has to actually have a little bit higher voltage, to keep it charged. But when you actually, let the battery sit for a few, you'll notice that it'll be right around 12. A good battery will sit right around 12 volts. So that's why it's a 12 volt DC system. But when the car is running, why are these things rated, at 13.8 volts? So when you do your testing, it's at 13.8 volts. That's because the alternator normally, a good working alternator is going to be charging at 13.8, 13.5, 13.8 volts. If you have anything higher than that, you have probably a faulty voltage regulator, or anything less than that, and you probably have probably a bad alternator. But anyway, yeah, so that's why technically it is a 12 volt, but 13.8. So when you adjust the potentiometer max, you're given the full 13.8 volts to everything, essentially. So what we're going to do is, so the green wire, I'm going to clip that, and you're going to see the light go off. So let me, I'll clip it right there. All right. Let me just clip this a little bit more so we don't touch that by accident. All right, so the RX-TX light is off. Next, what we're going to do is we'll get rid of this voltage regulator, because before that burns out, and you're going to see that we're going to lose channel display. So let me clip this. Actually, you might lose everything. Okay, no, we didn't lose everything. So we just lost the channel display. So now you can go ahead and just finish clipping this all off. But yeah, so now we saw that we lost channel display, and now this is meter. So now we lost the meter light. That's off. So we basically lost all lighting, you know, to the unit. So now what we're going to do is, so now you guys see what each thing does. So this is TX RX light. This is for the meter light. And then, you know, when we clipped this, we lost channel display. So now what we can do is we'll turn the radio off. And now we'll get rid of basically this whole unit now. So this is the feed, the 13.8 volt feed. We can clip that. This goes up to the potentiometer. We can clip that because we're not going to be using that anymore. And this is a part of the dimming circuit. We won't need that anymore. Now we can set this aside and, I don't know, do whatever you want with it. But it's trash. Trash here. Alright, so now radio's off. Let me just shut the power supply off as well. Alright, so now how are we going to get our lighting circuit back? So like I said, everything kind of operates at 13.8 volts. So now what we're going to do is we'll start with the TXRX. TXRX light. If you give this ground, it's going to come back full brightness. So now, when you look at, say like a, let me try to get this. You can see that there's a bright and a dim on one of these 29 LTD Classics. So that's where some of these wires would normally go to. But on this particular, on these 29 night watches, you see that, let me grab you another one here so I don't mess around with that other one. You can see that you have the tone, high and normal switch. So you could do one or two things. You can, if you prefer to have a dim function, which I don't particularly care for, you can go ahead and turn this tone switch into, you know, the dim switch, like you saw on the other 29. You know, you could do it that way as well, but I prefer to have a tone switch rather than a dim switch. That's just me, but if you guys feel like you want to wire in, you know, a dim instead of a tone, you can go ahead and do that as well. But for this video, we're not doing that because I don't want to. I'd rather have a tone switch because it is nice having one. So, anyway, all right, let's continue on here. Let me try to get this. Okay. So, let me get a couple of jumper wires here so we can see what each circuit does. So, let me try to get this in frame here. Okay. So, I'm going to take the green wire, which, if you remember, is TXRX. light. Let me get a microphone as well to plug in so we can make sure that it does switch as well. So let's turn this on. Turn the unit on. Now be careful if you're doing this the way I'm doing it. Just don't let anything touch or arc out. Hopefully you guys can see that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this jumper and touch it onto a ground plane on the actual board. And we're going to see that RX TX light come back on. So let me, I'll just go right to the transformer here. Okay. You can see that's changing from green to red. So that's what we're going to do with the green. We'll find a ground to run this to, board ground. All right, to get this meter light working. So now you can do this two different ways. Let me shut this off. Turn this power supply off. So now you can do this two different ways. You can either grab, so you're going to have to give this orange wire 13.8 volts. I guess it really doesn't matter where you get it from. You can get it from here, which is the switched 13.8 volts. Or you can get it also from the potentiometer, which also has the red wire. This red wire at the potentiometer here also has full voltage, full 13.8 volts. So you can power that orange wire with this, or you can power the orange wire with this one here as well. Doesn't really matter which one you do. So this goes to the volume switch, the on and off switch on the volume, the volume switch. But just for the sake of demonstration, we'll just give this orange wire, because it's just convenient just to connect these two right here. So that's what we'll do. Again, you can get any 13.8 volt source you feel like, but it's just easier doing it this way. All right. Watch, let me turn this on and you guys can see. You're going to see the meter light come back on. All right. That's basically it. Now, obviously, clean up these wires a little bit better. I'm just showing you what circuits should get ground and what circuits should get power. So, everything works. All right, hopefully you guys learned something. I think, so now what you can also do too is you can actually cut out, let me turn this off. So now what you can do is completely eliminate that dimmer pot as well. So this, like I said, that's your 13.8 volt source. This is your dim, so you can actually go back to the board, take this what is this, purple wire right out. You can go to the switch. So this red wire here goes right to the switch, unsolder it from there, and then you can completely eliminate this this potentiometer. So now this no longer needs to be in here as well. So why don't we go ahead and do that. What I'll do is I'll unsolder is this off? Yeah, that's off now. You got to make sure too that the power supply is off, because you do have constant, even though the switch is off, you do have a constant hot going right to the volume switch. So you don't want to mistakenly arc something out. So make sure that your power, or disconnect you know, the unit from power. But let's get rid of this potentiometer here. So this, I am going to, okay, yeah, you guys can see. What I'll do is I'll just clip this. So this goes right to, like I said, this goes right to the volume switch. So this is switched, this red is switched 13.8 volts. So I'm just going to clip it here, and then later on I will unsolder that little piece. All right. And the same with this purple wire that goes right down. I will clip it here and then unsolder the rest. But now you can get rid of this. This is no longer needed. So you can put this in your in a parts bin, because these are pretty common. You know, it's a 5K. So these are good to have. Especially if you're just starting out and you're making like a little collection, keep this, because you never know when you might need a, especially if it's working right. Alright, so what we have left now is the channel display, and we got to get that working properly. If you notice in the other video clips, you'll see that the channel display was actually working, but that was just myself bypassing the transistor. I was just kind of messing around with the circuit. That's not how you want to have it. You don't want to, what I did was I bridged the orange and the red wire together, and that would turn on the channel display. But that's not what you want to do. You want to put this transistor back in circuit. Again, that was just me messing around. So anyway, we're going to put this back in. We're going to mount it back there. But if you see this spot here, TR22, that's transistor 22, and we're basically going to be doing that. So, but we're going to be mounting it, you know, in its proper location. But it's going to go, when you look at the silk screening there, the TR22, it's going to go orange, red, yellow. Basically, you know, just as Cobra meant it to be. And that will get our channel display working again properly, you know, the way Cobra meant it to be. So let me get that mounted. Let me get this back in circuit, and then I'll show you exactly where all the connections are. And, you know, that way you can kind of just recap and, you know, see the radio working. So let me get this transistor back in, and then we'll take it from there. Alright, so that TR22 is wired up. You can see here, we'll be putting this back to its spot over there. But I promise you there's not much more to this. Just a couple of more steps and a couple of few more components you need to add and switch or whatever. So I'll go through it right now. And then this is it for the channel display. So, alright, so you see you got the orange, red, and yellow. And that's how you want to wire it. Okay. And then this is going to go back to its spot right there with some thermal paste. Alright, so now what you need to do is, so originally C133, one of the legs was in the spot there for R116. So what you want to do is you want to take the leg, so this this capacitor right here, the ceramic, you want to take the leg out of this and put it back into its own spot there in C133. Okay? So now it's back where it's technically supposed to be. Alright, so now resistor 116, I'll tell you the value. resistor 116 is a 5.6K resistor. So you want to put that in its spot there, R116. So now, where you see W51, originally, you had this inductor. So you want to take that inductor out. Okay. I can focus here. I don't know, just doesn't want to focus. Oh, there you go. All right, you want to take that out of that W51 spot. Right there. So now, you're also going to see that R115 isn't there. So you're going to add another resistor in there as well. So R115 is a 2.7. I didn't have a 2.7 actually. I used a 2.2. But it's a 2.7 K resistor. And that's it. I know it might be much for some people, but this is it's really not that difficult. Get yourself like a resistor kit. You can get, you know, the cheap ones from like Amazon or eBay. You know, it's going to have a, you know, an assortment of you know, resistors, assortment of values. And yeah, if you get one of those, they're relatively cheap, and you can do this. So now I'll recap everything, and I'll show you guys exactly like where I ground like the TX-RX light, you know, all that stuff. I'll recap everything. I'm trying to make as detailed video as possible for you guys. So hopefully it's not too confusing. Hopefully you guys can follow along. But anyway, so that's how we get this circuit back to like a regular 29, I guess you could say. So this is going to go back there. But for now, let's turn this on, and you can see that I haven't hooked up the, I haven't found a spot yet for the TX-RX light. But anyway, you can see that the channel display is now working. I don't want to keep it on too long because I gotta, you know, mount that so it's it can dissipate the heat. But for a couple seconds, it's okay. Yeah, so meter light's working now. Channel display is working now. So the only thing I have left to do is find a good ground for this RX-TX light, and that'll be the next step. And then I'll recap everything, all the locations that I use for I guess the grounds and power. All right, let me find a good spot to ground this RX-TX light. I'll get that transistor. Let me shut this off. Actually, I'll find. I'll get that transistor mounted back into its heatsink, and yeah, we'll just recap everything. All right, stand by. All right, so that RX-TX light, like I had stated before, this whole bank of wires here, this red wire here is actually the ground for the meter light. But that red wire and these black wires all in this rectangle here, this is all ground. I'm losing focus. Okay, yeah. This is all ground. So now, you can tap into a wire if you want. You know, there's many ways to go about this. There's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go on the back side and just solder on. On the back side of this. And I'll show you exactly, you know, where it is and where I put the wire. So I might have to extend, that's the TX-RX. I might have to extend this this wire, but I'll show you guys exactly where I put it. And, all right, stand by. All right, so I had to extend the wire a little bit, but, so this right here is that area that, those bank of black wire and where the meter light is grounded to. So that's where I'm going to put the grounds for the TXRX light. So you can actually okay, you guys can see that, but yeah, when I ground it to there, it comes on. So that's a good ground to ground this light to. It's not so far away. It's better than running, you know, a wire all the way to, if you want, I mean, you could do it there too, but there's plenty of other places you can ground this to, but this one seems to be the easiest. So I'll get this tinned. And then connected. Okay. Actually, don't need all of that sticking out. This is off. Yeah, it's off. All right. And now just ground it someplace. Right there is fine. We can do right there. All right. So now the only thing that's really left to do is just tidy up the wiring. But all right. Where's my mic? There it is. We got an antenna hook. All right, dummy loads on. All right. So you can see everything's working now. TXRX light switches. Meter lights back. Obviously it's still incandescent, but eventually when I get to it, it will be some sort of LED. And the channel display now works. I still got to hook up that, I got to mount that transistor still. But yeah, everything is now working. So let me get that transistor mounted. And then we can go through all the locations, all the hookups. We'll do like a recap of everything. So yeah, let's get that done. All right, so everything's back together. Transistor's back in with thermal paste. And you can remember, hopefully, if you forget, you can always pause the video for whatever, you know, you guys need. But that goes to the TR22 spot. Remember the resistors you have to put in. Remember the capacitor, you got to move one leg over. You got to remember to take out that inductor and then add the two resistors, okay? Back, actually we can go, let me try to prop this up so we can see a little bit better here. Down here at that, what is this? That W40, whatever that is, 49. Yeah, W49. This requires that 13.8 volts of power for the meter light. So I grabbed, remember I told you could either grab it off of the potentiometer or you can grab it off of the switch, switch power. So I grabbed it off the switch power because it was closer. And that's going to give you your meter light. Okay, so we got the channel display. We have the hookups here. Meter light, 13 volts to that W49, whatever it is. Yeah, 49. Keep forgetting. Sorry. Backside. This is the TXRX wire that gets grounded to right there, or wherever you want to ground it. You want to run a ground all the way to the transformer legs, that's fine. Whatever ground you want to ground it to. And that's it. Yeah, so TX light, display, meter. And that's it. And here we have the unit working. So, you know, why go through all of this? You know, the reason behind it is try to just eliminate as much as we can inside the radio. You know, I don't know if you ever heard some of these on, they make like a buzzing sound, and, you know, I can just imagine, you know, the stray, possibly RF, or, you know, just the noise that this thing is, you know, putting through the radio. The less you have in there, the better. So if we can eliminate that, the better. So now, this is what you're left with as far as, you know, this is what we took out of the radio. It's not much, but, you know, it's, I think we have a way better radio now. So now, again, so why go through all this trouble too? If you actually want the dimmer to work, if you prefer that, then there's no reason to do all of this. Just, you know, leave everything in. I personally don't think a dimmer potentiometer is worth it on something that doesn't have night watch anymore. And the bright dim switch that you find on other 29s, instead of the tone, I'd rather have the tone than the switch. That's just me. So if you guys are going to do this, and you know, you're going to actually put in an echo board, then this is the way to do it, I think. It's going to take you a couple of extra hours to do it this way, but I think you're going to have a more professional result. I think you're going to have, will you notice a cleaner sounding radio? I don't know. I really don't know, but I guess the chances of having a better sounding radio are there. And it's good practice, you know, for someone who wants to buy like a $20 radio and kind of just mess around with it, you know, learning, you know, circuit, you know, reading a diagram, or, you know, whatever. You know, you're first starting off and you don't want to ruin something new. You can buy these, you know, for like 25, 30 bucks, sometimes less, you know, depending on the condition. And you can kind of just mess around with it like, you know, I did here. So, yeah, this radio is now ready to go. Obviously, there's going to be an echo installed on this radio. The tone is staying. Another thing to consider on this radio, you could probably mess around with the tone circuit and actually put in a tone potentiometer, and you can have a little bit more adjustment than just an on and off switch. So you could actually wire this to a pot and actually have way more tone control than just a switch can provide. And then you could actually wire this, if you wanted to, as a bright dim switch, if you really wanted to go to that extent. Something to think about, you know, or mess around with if you guys really wanted to, you know, go down that road. Something to consider, I guess. But that's about it. That's how you basically de-night watch a Cobra night watch. You know, and now it's ready for its next steps in life, and that's to become something similar to that. You know, to this thing. I might go down a different road as far as like color and maybe like some sort of theme. I'm not sure, but this radio is going to be very similar. It's going to get a new front decal. It's going to get the Echo. It's going to get the RFX 95 installed on it. Some sort of LED. I don't know if maybe I might choose a color that might coordinate better with whatever color I choose for the radio. So possibilities are kind of endless here. But I tried to do a video with a little bit more hands-on stuff so you guys can actually learn. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a long video, but that's how it is when you guys want to see, you know, more hands-on work. That's what it is. It's done in real time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. All right, thanks for watching.